Hi, and welcome to Sci-Fi-Vision Presents Fandom Access for Sunday, January 26th. Tonight, we'll be talking about the From episode, Broken Windows, Open Doors, which is episode 108, as our rewatch. As always, if you haven't, please make sure that you join Discord, because before the stream, we always have our watch party. So you can watch it right before the episode. And if you haven't, please like and subscribe. Take a time to, look around at our other live streams, our other From things, all that good stuff on our YouTube channel. And also check out Julie's channel, which is in the description as well. All right. Well, hi.
Hi, Jamie.
Thanks for coming. Sorry. There's Scarlet. Oh, sorry. I got to fix my speaker here. Hi, Scarlet. Your horse in a boat. I like that.
Yes.
I was telling Julie I'm not feeling really well, so I don't know how talkative I'll be, but hopefully I'll go well. But I see that we have a lot of stuff in the chat already. Justin's got a million questions. We appreciate. Oh, no, I was going to say, I don't have ukuleles. All right, let's see. So, what does Boyd hope to accomplish by taking Sarah into the woods, and how does this reflect Father Cautry's belief in her? I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I think he's hoping he's right, would be my answer to that, or hoping that Cautry's right, that she can help them in some way get home. But I'm not sure at this point he really knows yet. Do you have anything to add, Scarlet? I know Julie left for a second. Or maybe everybody left me.
Sorry. I had to run into the room for a second.
Oh, it's okay. I just wondered what you thought about it.
I don't know if he was just like, Father believes in Sarah, so I should take her with me. I kind of wish all three of them would have gone.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they all left. Also, though, I guess if something goes wrong and she's kind of expendable a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's important or not, but yeah. All right, let me get up we will go to the rest of the notes in the chat. I'm just going to get up the episode pictures here. I'm glad Julie sent me the pictures. I have not had time to
Yeah.
pictures for this. All right, so this picks up with Boyd. I don't think they knew yet. This is when he decided to leave, right? Let's see. Yeah, he's not dealing very well with everything that went down. I mean, they've lost a whole bunch of people, obviously, last week, and he wants to do something to fix things. Do you think sometimes, I think Boyd takes on too much and thinks everybody expects too much of him because he's kind of the self-appointed leader? Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I think it's too much of that fish and loaves thing, Mr. Fish and Loaves.
Yeah.
I think he thinks he has to be everybody's savior.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of times that is detrimental to his mental health. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
And it could be all guilt too. He feels from things that happened in the past.
Yeah.
So he has to work even harder,
Yeah. I think a lot of, and I was going to click on Justin's other question here. What significance does the flashback to his family buying him a boat hold in relation to its current struggles? I feel like, number one, a lot of this episode is about him feeling like he failed his family. A lot of the episode in general, and him trying not to fail the town, and also feeling like he failed Ellis. We were just talking about it in the chat, and I am so bad all the time at remembering who said what. I always like that. I'm like, wait, who said that? It was Golden Child said that he thinks that Ellis was probably more mad he didn't listen to him so much the fact that he shot his mother. And I think that's true. I think Boyd was so wrapped up in trying to do everything right and trying to be the savior that he messed up. And I was just going to say, in regards to the flashback, I feel like the boat was kind of like represented hope a little bit. And right now they're trying to find that hope. And I feel like this idea that they can go into the woods, and maybe even just Sarah, that, they can find a way out. I feel like that's kind of the same thing. Like he's trying to, he has that idea that there's a way out, and he's trying to like hold on to it, I guess. And he's already, like, he lost the boat. He lost a lot of his hope. He lost his part of his family. Yeah, that's what I would say with that.
Well, like most people that come from are like on the, the threshold of something like good usually.
Yeah, some of them are. And this is kind of, I mean, I feel like their lives weren't necessarily, I don't know, they were worse in the sense they were stuck here, but they didn't necessarily get something horrible or bad at the beginning, but it clearly for him went downhill really fast.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. So I'm sure Julie will be coming back in a minute.
Yeah.
This is where, though, they're saying that all the people are going to take in the people from Colony House, and that they're kind of gathering everybody together. And whoa, I hate when my screen does that. It blinks out completely when I'm in the middle of talking. And this is where Kenny's saying that they really need to get people together and have everybody talk. And he wants Boyd to talk to them. And this is where I think, just like I said, Boyd's kind of lost the hope after everything that happened with Colony House. And he's like, you want me to just tell everybody it's going to be okay? If you're going to be sheriff, you got to do that. You got to learn how to do it yourself. And I know Justin was saying here about Kenny's growth as a leader. I think that what does his growth as a leader manifest? What does it say about his relationship with Boyd? I think that Boyd has done a good job preparing him. I feel like in this point, he's kind of throwing him out, to take care of it himself in a way, because he's upset and doesn't want to deal with it. But I think in a way, it's not necessarily a bad thing that he's doing that, because he needs to learn to do it. And he may not be there forever, especially because he is sick.
Yeah, it's like another step in their father-son relationship after playing catch.
Yeah.
So, Kenny starts to grow and starts to become responsible for himself and others.
Yeah, I don't think they ever finish that game of catch when he gets back there, do they?
I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, how do I communicate with my boy? Oh, I have a baseball.
Yeah, that was funny. That was a cute scene. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm talking really slow, and I think it's just because I don't feel good.
Oh, that's fine. I think you're talking fine.
Okay, well, to me, I guess because I usually talk fast. To me, it feels like I'm like, no. That's what I feel like anyway.
That's okay. I think you sound fine.
Fletcher says, Boyd has seen this place turn good people into bad or do bad stuff. The twist would be if somehow they turn into the villain by turning the good person, Boyd, into a bad one. I know that's not really what's happening now, but I did want to highlight that because I know this isn't about this episode, but I feel like in a way they've kind of already done that by the finale. Not so much turned him into a villain, but I mean they got him to torture Elgin.
Yeah, they got him to do things that he normally wouldn't do.
Yeah. And it's interesting though if you parallel it to this, because there's the whole idea that he's telling Sarah, I don't give a shit what happened. I don't care. You did this. If it were up to me, I'd kill you. And it's because she thought she was saving people. And he is essentially almost hypocritical, because that's pretty much what he's doing to Elgin. And Elgin's doing the same thing to everybody else, that it shows that they can be pulled to the end of their tether and, do things that they never thought that they'd do. So
Well, I also think he's hyper vigilant and trying to look out for his family, and that kind of manifests in bad things like torturing Elgin.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
again, it comes from that guilt, the guilt that he had about Abby, that he feels like he has to be even more protective at the cost of others.
Yeah, he can't let he has to make sure that Ellis is protected, I think, above all by the point of the end of the series and the end of this what we've had at the end of the 3 seasons. I also, and again, I know I'm going way ahead of this episode, but I'm curious what, yeah, you're right, Fletcher, they managed to break point. I'm curious how next season is going to go in regards to that, though, because I feel like Boyd has not protected the town. He's put his family above the town. And I'm not necessarily saying that he shouldn't have or that I don't understand it. But I don't know. If I was the town, I definitely would not be trusting Boyd like I did before. So.
Yeah, it depends how much of all that comes out, too.
That's true. But I mean, I don't think they can hide everything. I think that they're going to have to take care of it. There's Cautry's blood stain there. I didn't want to leave the bloody part on the screen. So yeah, we talked about Kenny's he's forcing Kenny a little bit to, well, not a little bit. He's forcing him to take charge. He's like throwing him in the deep end, and it's like, your turn. I'm done. He's really in this episode kind of given up a little bit. And I know we've talked before about, and I know it kind of depends because there's so many different things it could mean, but does the yellow mean hope? I think it's interesting that he wears yellow in here, but also that he has 2 yellow shirts. Most people don't even have 1 yellow shirt, and he has 2 yellow shirts. I find that funny. But Kenny's really, I think, stepping up in this. Let's see. I wanted to get to the flashback, and I know we're kind of ahead of the pictures. I'm not doing good at keeping the pictures caught up. Okay, so he tells Sarah, you're coming with me. And I don't think he didn't say anything at this point to her, right? Like she didn't know that he knew she was down there. I don't think till this point, if I'm remembering the last episode correctly. So she's like kind of scared because she don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, she doesn't know that the father's dead and everything.
Yeah, no, she doesn't know at that point.
She was just, I guess, tied. I guess she just was waiting in the basement. I mean, at least he didn't have her tied down.
Yeah, that's something. Well, and that's the other thing is that she talks about like he doesn't need to handcuff her, and later he does. I'm not sure what really the significance of handcuffing her actually does, because it's not like there's anywhere she can go. If she goes to town where she would be protected, they're going to kill her. If she goes into the woods, the creatures are going to kill her. So next to Boyd is really the safest place for her. I also have marked down here the song. I feel like this song about, if I had a boat and everything. And we talk about hope. I think this song is about having, like I said, having something to hope for, having something to long for, to look forward to work towards. And I feel like in this episode, a lot of it's taken away. Even just the flashback part of the episode, not necessarily the present, but and he's just kind of, over it. And I know Samuel had said earlier in the chat that, and we sort of talked about that Boyd is sort of the savior of the town, and I do agree with that. He said it's like a Jesus reference, Mr. Fish and Loaves. And yeah, I think Boyd is taking on too much, but this is kind of that moment where it's peaceful before everything goes to shit. I do like this scene, though, the whole thing where they trick him and they already bought him a boat. It's cute. And we see his rendezvous moves, or whatever it's called.
Rendezvous trailer.
Yeah,
so
trailer.
Does that become the box later? That's when it becomes the box, right?
Yeah, it's you mean that they're drawing the map on? Is that what you mean by
meant the trailer behind them. I thought that became the box where they put people in the future.
Oh, it might be.
Because it is right, like a trailer.
Yeah, it probably is. I hadn't even thought about that. I don't know. It's hard to tell. The box is just made of wood slats. I don't think it has anything written on it, but it very well could be. It does kind of look like that.
Yeah, I think that song, the Pony and Boat song, is like more just about like his freedom of like letting everything go and just doing what you want
Yeah.
to do, kind of a thing
Yeah, and that's why I said this is
that
kind
he
of like
wants to do because he's retiring.
yeah, he's retiring, but this is kind of like that last moment of that freedom, and he goes from
Yeah.
being in the military to being retired to have to going back to taking care of everybody again, and being a leader.
hmm
Lots of pictures. I'm bad at knowing how fast to go because I don't know which pictures she took.
How old do you think Ellis is?
I mean, I would have said, I guess 20s probably.
Mm.
I don't know. What do you think? I'm awful at judging ages, so I could be completely wrong with
Yeah,
that. But
maybe like 23, 24, maybe. I don't know.
yeah,
I
I'd
mean,
probably say
Julie's point.
early to mid 20s.
Yeah, Julie's pointed out that she thought it was weird that he was like in a car with them going on vacation, but I told her I didn't think it was much of a vacation as just that they were going to go to lake house with the boat and everything. Like they
Mhm.
had, like the
Yeah,
retirement
it
stuff.
was surprising him, and it was his retirement. I mean, I think they
Yeah.
were probably going there to celebrate his retirement.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've still gone on vacations with my family, and I'm older, so I don't know. I think it
Yeah.
depends on your
Yeah, me
family too.
too. Or I've met up at the lake house. I can understand.
Yeah, and he could also like not have a car just because he's in his 20s doesn't mean he has his own car, or they could just be
Yeah,
like all
yeah,
going there
it's
to
true.
consolidate. Um,
hmm
I'm not sure what that is. I was going to ask you what you thought hanging.
I think those are the beads that he had in like
Oh,
season
that's right.
3 by his bed.
You're right. He does. I was just going to say it reminds me of like a wishbone, the way it's kind of hanging
Yeah,
there.
it reminded me of that shape as well.
So that's interesting. But he sees the tree, and we know in for help. Yeah, that does look like it could be the box. You're right, because I think the box was on wheels. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
so it just wasn't in that good a shape. I think at that point. So Sarah's with him, and she's like, "Tell me what's going on." Wants to know. I'm looking to see if what they're saying is ahead of where we're at or about where we're at. Thanks, Fletcher. I'm glad you liked the show last night. I had fun last night. It went longer than I expected it to, though. So yeah, Sarah doesn't know anything, and I think it's during. Yeah, this is where he tells her that Cautry's dead, and he seems so surprised that she's. I don't want to say surprised, but maybe a little surprised. You think he was that she seems to care? Like he's trying to make it out like you don't care what happened. You're this horrible
hmm
person after everything you did. You don't care he's dead, and that's kind of really narrow. I feel like because that's
hmm
it's a lot more complicated than that. Because the first thing she says is Ellis okay? And I think she means all the
Yeah.
all the things she says. And she
hmm
says, "You think I'm a monster?" And I think, like I said before, I think by the end of the season 3, he kind of is too. So I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
sure that he has a lot of room to talk. But obviously, at this point, he hasn't. That hasn't happened yet. But he tells her about Cautry, and we'll get to the next scene. He's crying. These are like a flip book. She's got so many.
Yeah.
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 So
Oh
this is
yeah,
with
Jade. Yeah.
yeah, I love Jade. Jade does not like that they are moving the rest of the people from Colony House into the town. He's like, "You already picked the flower. It's your fault. You don't get a house." Because they're kind of having to share. And I love Clara's comment. I'm assuming there's probably a picture of Clara when she comes up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe not. Yeah,
Well, maybe not.
I don't know. There she goes.
Oh,
There's
there she
Clara.
is. Yeah.
And she's like, "You're the one that thought it was an escape room. How'd that go for you?"
Yeah. Exactly.
That was
I
funny.
think it's the first line she has, other than the bike, like "Don't steal my bike" line.
Yeah, probably. I was gonna say, I was making sure. Sorry, I was just making sure Julie wasn't trying to get back in.
hmm
She's moving to a different spot. Yeah. I'm just reading. I see. I'm sorry you don't feel well either. I know somebody had said there's something going around, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I just hopefully we will feel better. Both feel better tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
But I love
Guy's
how.
shirt is. I was looking at all
Sorry.
the flowers on this guy's shirt. I was looking at all the
No,
flowers on this guy's shirt.
that's funny. Yeah, he's got quite a loud shirt. There we go. There's Julie. There we go. Hello, welcome back.
Hi, I'm sorry. Horrible
That's okay.
difficulties tonight. But
That's
if
okay.
this happens again and I'm kicked off, I'll join on my phone.
Okay. That's fine. Thank you. Sorry. Everybody's having issues tonight. That's the problem. I was just gonna say obviously Jade's extremely rude at this point, which he always is. But I love how he completely switches subjects so constantly. Like he's busy bitching about them going to stay in the house, and then suddenly he's like, "Do you know where Victor is?" Like he completely forgets what he's saying when he does that, and just switches gears so quick, which I think is funny. Let's see.
I kind of like to know more about this guy behind Clara
Yeah,
here.
I don't know if we see him again. I don't recognize him.
Yeah, I don't
So
either.
I
But
would
I'm always
say,
fascinated by all the red shirts.
yeah.
Yes, you
Well,
are.
the thing is that in season 3, we see a whole bunch of them when we get that group scene, and suddenly there's all these red shirts that are in the foreground, which is kind of annoying, but
You know
like
what
I
would be
get it.
funny? You know what would be funny? Like if somebody took anytime there's a shot of a big group of red shirts in any of all the seasons, like get a whole collection of them together and compare them all and look at how they changed out everyone over and over again. They're all these strange faces and like
Wow.
because they think that nobody notices the red shirts at all. And usually I don't, but Scarlet's got me looking at them now. And now I'm
No, you're right. But I was going to say,
Well,
such is the way they do extra work. I mean, they don't necessarily come back.
yeah, but in season 1 there seems to be a lot more younger people and a lot more women in dresses.
What
So
earlier you
it
mean?
looks almost more cultish than it does now. Everybody's kind of like a little bit more cash.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. It does. They dress more like Sarah, like a little old fashioned because they're sharing clothes and everything. Let's see. I was just reading what they're saying in the chat. Golden Child Boyd still feels like he's in the service. A lot of this is the stuff we talked about. David had said that about the fish and loaves, about Jesus feeding people with two fishes. Jeez, I can't even talk. 2 fish and a loaf of bread is why it represents that. Let's see what else. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll decently. Let's see. I'm not sure the numbers that were in here. I didn't see any numbers yet in the episode. They're talking about 7 about the fish and loaves. Let's see. What's this, Dieter? All right, you ding dongs. If anyone's fucked us up, you spend a night in a box. Okay. Well, we're trying not to. We're trying not to here. Dieter asked if cats have sabotaged your Wi-Fi again.
I'm assuming so. I honestly don't know what the problem is anymore. It's constant. It's getting worse, I think.
Well, hopefully it'll stay in this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything about the beginning of the episode, Julie, since you kind of weren't here? We went through the flashback and Boyd getting ready to leave and him kind of trying to make Kenny step up.
Did you go through the part where Boyd saw the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just the major thing that I took from that scene was the really valuable exposition that we got from their interaction. They snuck some exposition in there in a clever way. Boyd with his long and decorated military career that he talked about, and he's Mr. Fish and Loaves. Abby's Iron Abby, and the problem with Iron, it doesn't know when to bend. So
yeah.
and that ties in with the theme that Kenny introduced earlier in the season, that people who can't adapt don't survive here, because if you can't bend, eventually you break. So that what Kenny said, it actually foreshadowed what was going to happen. Boyd, I mean, what we were going to find out happened. Obviously, this happened prior to the events of this season, but it foreshadowed this revelation now that we find out that Abby broke. Iron Abby couldn't bend, so she broke. And Mr. Fish and Loaves, who can adapt to all kinds of situations, he was able to adapt, so he survived. So I liked that, the way that they the way they snuck that in there. It was like a really smart way to use exposition and a huge theme of the show too.
Yeah, I was going to say we also got just a lot of backstory in the sense we know about his retirement and his military career and all that now too. And a bit more about his family with this episode.
So,
Jade.
I always like the shots in this. The shots are always really nice. Like that. Really nice.
Yeah, they are nice shots. Okay, so Julie, I told her I'm really bad at going through the pictures because I don't know how many are in there. I don't know when to click them, I'm guessing.
Too many too.
That's okay. So Julie comes back and she's like, her parents are asking her, you know, what happened. And she's saying she doesn't know, everybody was having a good time when it happened and, you know, everything seemed normal. And they ask about her getting out. And that's when she says that she was up in Victor's room and they kind of get upset. And she's like, oh, it wasn't like that. I just want to talk about a second that, like, obviously Julie to begin with is younger and I guess probably doesn't get or understand that they don't want her, you know, up in some strange guy's bedroom. But what I want to ask you guys is, for whatever reason, and I guess it isn't, but it felt to me that way as I watched it today, Jim felt a little weirdly protective to me. Like I don't know, I got a weird vibe from him. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how to explain it. What exactly? It like made me think of somebody who, I mean, I don't think he is abusing her, but for whatever reason, it gave me this weird vibe. Like he doesn't want somebody else around her because he, you know, like sometimes when you find out that like they're a little too close to their kids or whatever. And I'm not saying he is, just the way he acted the scene, for whatever reason, I just got a really creepy vibe from him. Did you guys, or is it just me?
In the scene where, when he hauled Jade out of the house and flipped out on him.
That too, but I meant specifically like from talking about Victor to screaming at Jade, really both. He just seemed like overly protective. Like I said, I get it. She shouldn't have been in a strange guy's bedroom. But I don't know. It's just something about the way he acted to me seemed strange in this episode.
To me, yeah. I mean, it's an overreaction and it's completely over the top when he hauls Jade out, which we're going to get to. But and I've always thought that, like, what is his problem? Why is he so quick to anger and violence? But then I have to remember, okay, you know, he did lose a child 14 months ago. So I think anything involving a potential danger to either of his kids is a trigger for him, and it triggers these anger issues that he needs serious counseling for. He needs grief counseling and he needs anger management counseling.
Yeah. Big time. I think I also have to remember, and I'm sure other people forget it too. I tend to forget that she's as young as she is because the actress is older. Like I look at her, and I mean, not that like a even 18-year-old should necessarily be in his bedroom, but I'm just saying, like, I forget that she's supposed to be a bit younger. But I mean, it's clear that, you know, it didn't mean anything and that nothing happened, and he does get a little overreactive. But what I thought was really interesting about this scene that I didn't notice the first a gazillion times when I've seen this, but she says that when she came in, he was gathering up the drawings and that he was getting ready to leave. And when they climbed out the window, they had to climb out the window, and then he said something like, it's starting. I think I had it here that he said it's starting again or whatever. I kind of questioned the way she said that he was packing up. It's almost like he knew it was coming, the whole thing at Colony House. Like he expected, I don't know that he necessarily knew what was coming, but he clearly expected something was going to happen.
Well, he knew people were going to die because he dug graves.
Yeah. And I don't know. Is that like relevant, or is it just because Victor knows there's two cars and it's going to start getting bad? It just seems strange. I'm like thinking about the fact that he seemed to know more.
He's probably been through it before.
Knew to get out of there before
Yeah.
before he should have.
I'm just curious about Jim though, because he's totally like Jim and Tappy are totally fine with her living at Colony House in the bedroom of Ellis and Fatima.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Victor's a problem.
Well, I think Victor is to them is weird and creepy. They don't know him, but also Victor's a lot older. I mean, we talked about before you got in how old is Ellis. I mean, Ellis and Fatima are obviously closer to Julie's age, and also Fatima's there too for the most part. I mean, she isn't. I mean, maybe if she was hanging out just with Ellis, they'd have a problem with it, but.
But she's just making out with other people too, so that's fine.
Yeah, no, I mean you're right. Although they didn't like her in Colony House, but yeah, they should be a little more creeped out by that too. She says she ended up in the cabinet. I didn't realize she came right out in the cabinet that was in the root cellar, because I typed that out and I meant to go back and look and I forgot. So that's kind of interesting. And Ethan says it was a faraway tree. Victor said you can go all sort of places. Sometimes people go to different places, so maybe he went somewhere else, and they have to find him. So Ethan obviously isn't surprised by it, and that's where Julie's just kind of like, what the hell's happening? Because she sees everything going on. They're writing on the wall, digging holes, and she's really freaking out. And she's like, how can you say that this is okay? Because they're trying to calm her down a little too much.
Yeah, I felt like she really overreacted to Ethan just saying like it's a faraway tree, and then he's like, she runs out of the room and he comes out and makes it worse, and he's totally not reading the room.
Or good.
He's like, you're digging a big hole in the basement to see where the electricity comes from, and he says it just like that, the electricity, and then she starts having a panic attack, even worse.
What's going on? She's so like in the dark of what the heck's going on. Yeah, and then this is whenever Jade comes in, which Jade is always rude and comes in like that. I mean, this is nothing new.
He never knocks.
I love Jade though. He's awesome. Sorry, I feel like I stick on one picture forever and then I zoom through all of them. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay.
Just really upset.
You can just trust that I have a shot of pretty much anything that you're about to talk about, so you can keep scrolling through. Just trust in that.
Is trying to deal. She's not dealing so well, and then Jade comes in. I don't know. I have a hard time talking and clicking at the same time, I think is the problem.
Yeah.
And this is where he screams at. I lost where it was. Screams at Jade. Okay, asking about Victor, and he's like, "What's wrong with you? Do you know what she's been through?" And Jade talks about finding the symbol, and I was thinking, I don't even think he knows, I guess, what happened at Colony House, but he's not really. I don't know. He's just kind of skipping it, He doesn't seem bothered by what happened at Colony House and a bunch of people died. He's just like, where's Victor? So
I guess he's just the idea guy.
Yeah. And he just screamed. But the fact that he's like, stay away from my daughter, like he didn't even come in to see Julie. So yeah, I didn't even think about that. He's way overprotective in that moment because he didn't even ask for Julie. All he asked is, where's Victor? That's kind of the opposite.
Well, he was like, Julie was, I think it was because Julie was mid panic attack, and then he busted in and he was asking Julie, where's Victor? Because Tom told him that he last saw Victor and the Matthews girl running off to the woods. So he was asking Julie, like, have you seen Victor? And so I think that's why. It's still a ridiculous overreaction.
Right. No, yeah. I mean, I can see Jim being like, you can see she's upset, but he said it like he was, because he's like, stay away from my daughter. Like he didn't do anything. I guess I'm saying like insinuating anything. He just asked about Victor. But I also feel, and I like that he's like, you're being overprotective dad, or whatever he says, protective father. I get that. I respect that. But Jim kind of does the same thing that I said Jade did earlier, because I said how like Jade sort of switches gears so quick. Jim's talking to him, screaming at him on the porch, and then all of a sudden he's like, you got me to go all the way out there to climb a tree, and he's like, it worked. He just completely 180s into talking about the fact it worked. Well, it got static. It didn't actually work. But he thinks they can get the signal over the tree line and get it out if they go to higher ground. And I wrote this down, and this is probably just one of those random thoughts I had. But he's talking at this time. They're talking about getting the signal out over the trees, and we know that it doesn't exactly get stopped. The man in yellow stops him technically, and whether that's because it can get out and they don't want it to, so they're trying to kibosh it before it happens, I don't know. But it made me think about how that symbol's underground, and they're at the same time he's talking about underground. Wouldn't it be weird if the whole idea was, rather than trying to send the signal above ground, they should be sending it underground? Like, what if they could send the signal underneath it or something and find people? I don't know. That's weird. But that was what I wrote down, because that was the weird thought that went through my head when I said that.
Well, you never know. I mean, it's a backwards place, so
yeah. No, I was just thinking about how he was talking about underground, and that Jim's talking about the opposite, going over everything, and I'm thinking they've never tried going under everything. I don't know. Odd thing. Let's see. They're talking about Severance too. Jade would fit in Lumen. You're right.
We might as well just call it the Fromverance stream at this point, because in my streams too, everyone starts talking about Severance when we're talking about From, and I
think it's because we've been talking about From so much, and it's like now there's something new. Because I kind of almost feel like that. I went to watch From tonight, and I always, and don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it. It might partially be because I didn't feel good, but I'm kind of like, I'm a little frummed out, and it's fun to get something new, and I feel like I want to talk about Severance as much as I want to talk about this. So that's
in fact, there was so much Severance talk in my Friday live that was in the chat, and then I was starting to acknowledge it and say stuff, and then Doc rightly pointed out that people who hadn't seen it yet might not want the spoilers, because it's not actually a Severance stream. And so I was like, okay, yeah, we have our Severance stream. We'll do that separately, but it bleeds through. It keeps bleeding.
Yeah.
Much like Innies and Outies memories bleed through.
Yeah, we have to separate them.
Sever them.
Yours is tomorrow. You'll probably get a lot. I think we went on for like 4.5 hours. I think something like that. So yeah, it was long. I just want to put this up. This is not to do with that, but Fletcher asked if anyone's seen Hell House LLC. I'm not sure what that is. I have not.
I haven't seen it. It's a movie.
Well, I figured that, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't know. Maniel versus Milchek. Knowledge comes with a cost. You guys are funny. So next we have, let's see. And please stop me if I'm going through stuff too fast. I guess I'm not talking too fast, but if I'm going through stuff too fast, look at Jim's face. I love when you get like this weird candid shot that gets stopped on a weird facial expression.
Or somebody's eyes completely shut.
Yeah, that tends to happen.
I definitely think Jim has some anger issues. He needs to.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot of anger issues to work out. That is the bead. You're right.
Mm-hmm. I think they're prayer beads.
This right here, just this image, that reminds me of a lot of the like images you see in Walking Dead at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's what that reminded me of. Oh, my dog's coming in to see me. Hello, what are you doing? Good night. She's coming in. She's like looking at me like, what are you doing? Here, she's coming over near my computer. She's like, I'm done. That was enough. But anyway, that image, it very much reminded me of Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
The way it was painted like that. And they're like, where are people? And then Khatri comes out and is like, stop. And he almost runs him over. I was going to say and ask you guys, like, I feel like if this was real, I know she tells him to drive. I don't think most people would stop. I would be like, there's this crazy priest, get out of this town and don't look back.
This might be a cult.
Yeah, and he's like, I know you're not going to believe this, but you need to listen to me anyway, or you're all going to die. Yeah, I would have left. So I'm not sure that that's necessarily the best way to get somebody to listen to you. I know it's a television show, but it just had me kind of laughing a little bit. Because she pulls out the gun, she's like, drive away, and that's exactly what I would do. I think at that point, that position.
But they came late enough in the day that didn't have to do that round and round drive that other people do.
Yeah, or they just did. That's true. That I guess they couldn't have, or we would have known that they would have been saying something about it. Why would they write "save us" on the barn? Like, who could see that and help them? Whoever that help sign means they're already inside from Bill. They can't do
True.
I think it's more. I think because it looks cool, but also I think it's more just kind of like they're. I don't want to say suffering. I mean, they are suffering, but they're just kind of like stuck there, and it's just kind of like a Hail Mary, like they're like, somebody save us, we don't want to be here.
Maybe somebody will know something they don't.
Yeah, I don't know if they literally think they're good, somebody could save them, but because it's like, if you're already there, it's too late and there's nowhere to go.
I mean, I'm surprised they don't write it on the roof in case there was a plane or something that could see them from above.
Yeah, that actually would make a little bit more sense there. Let's see. Talking about computer problems, that isn't relevant. I'm not sure what this was what Dieter, I think, because I had moved on to something else. Jade's line from the final episode, his best line. All right. All right. Okay, that was the line. I thought he was saying that I was a ding. Okay, all right, you ding dong. That's the line. Never mind. The crappier and tireder I am, and the crappier I feel, the slower my brain works. So yeah, sorry about that. Now I lost where we were. Okay, so he tells them to get out. They're gonna die, and they hear the creature screaming, and he's like, "What is that?" And he says, "Death, and it's coming." Which is, I mean, that's kind of foreshadowing people are going to die, but that happens a lot. So I'm not sure if that counts as foreshadowing, but they all get out and they go underground, and he says he'll talk to them when the sun comes up, which I don't know why he can't explain it to them then, because they have, all night to stand there, right? That was kind of an odd statement for me. I'll explain it to you when the sun comes up. What are you going to do for the next 8 hours? Or whatever.
Apparently, they're all going to stand around a table looking at each other. I mean, there are some books. So.
Yeah, I guess so. You got ones of them walking a foot farther, Julie. I did see, because I had said before, I forgot that he was there at the show.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good picture there. But
but they're just going to stand there all night like this.
Yeah, I guess so. But you can hear them up above. So they're just kind of standing and waiting, and it's tense. They talk though, so they don't. It kind of surprises me they don't have to be super quiet if they're hiding. I mean, they're not that far underground, so I don't know.
And plus, the monsters live underground, so it's kind of strange.
Yeah, you would think that they could hear them where they're at. Whoops. Luminahawk. More Severance stuff about goats and Lumen.
yeah, but
maybe goats exist because mommy and daddy goats like to eat gooey. Oh, Dieter.
but Fletch brings up a good point of where Victor was. Victor isn't in this episode, but he's in the town somewhere.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think though, from what it sounds like, everybody's hiding in a different spot. So I'm assuming, I mean, for all we know, they may have been originally going to pick a different spot, and they only came to that spot because they saw a new car was out. So like they went to go help them. But yeah, that is a good point. That Victor isn't there, but I think it's probably just he's hiding in a different place. So Christy pops his arm back in. And Kenny comes. I'm trying to see. that was a good impression.
Yeah,
that's funny. So she pops.
He's been through a lot. He's been through a lot with the arm breaking, and then he gets stabbed.
Yeah, poor Ellis. He's not having a good year. None of them are, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So Kenny comes in, flirts with her a bit, gives her the book, and she's like, I don't think I'm gonna have time to read tonight. She kind of I don't want to say leads him on because she doesn't ever expect to see her girlfriend again. But watching this now, knowing what happens, it's kind of a little sad because I mean, Kenny didn't. It's not like Kenny saw something that wasn't there. I mean, she's totally, flirting right back with him. She kisses him on the cheek. She acts like she's interested. Because she is at that point.
Yeah, but I think she's quite in a spot in between like people like Marielle that think they could think she's dead,
Yeah.
Because I mean, what do you do when people are missing? You don't know they're alive or dead. She doesn't know she'll ever see her again. Kenny's kind of in front of her, She kind of wants the relationship with him, but she doesn't want to give up, in case she gets out of from by whatever grace,
Yeah, I'm just saying I feel bad for Kenny. I mean, she's not doing it intentionally. It's just knowing now, like it's kind of like, yeah, it's just not fair to him. But she, like I said, it's not her fault. But it's just, it feels mean. But like she doesn't know it, but she's being mean in a way.
Yeah, but she isn't taking it too far. She isn't sleeping with him.
She's not.
Suddenly, it's like suddenly I got a fiance. Sorry,
No, I know, and he does know she has a fiance. It's just if she knew she was going to come, I'd say she's leading him on, but she doesn't. You're right. She's like moving on a little bit, and I just feel bad for Kenny. He's kind of in the middle of it.
But I think that kiss gives him the strength to do what he does later in the episode.
Yeah.
A little love gives him the strength to have a lecture Donna and Boyd and put them in their place.
Yeah, he had some power there after that.
Yeah.
Kimberly says, I was thinking about that scene with the people hiding, and I wonder if the monsters are looking for those who do not hide well. Yeah, I mean, it shows a lot of the bodies up top after. So clearly, some of them hide better than others, I guess. Victor was most likely in the peach truck, is what CT5 says. He very well could have been, or he could have even been in. Well, I guess he can't. I was going to say he could be in the root cellar. He could have been. This is a different time, but he could have been in the root cellar too. Fletcher says, I'm still intrigued with that elementary school building, wondering if we'll ever see that building like an actual school, maybe in a flashback or Julie story walking. That would be kind of cool. I feel like they just used a post office in a school as opposed to a police station and a medical place or whatever, just to make it kind of like all of it sort of like a ragtag trying to make the best of what they have. I don't know that there is any purpose of the fact these were all different buildings, and it's just kind of like that's why they don't have a lot of stuff and they're pulling it all together. But that would be kind of cool to see that.
Hey, Julie?
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
I have a question about the book. What is the book about that they're reading?
The narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. It's about a young boy who stows away on a boat, and while he's hiding there one night, a bunch of the sailors transform into monsters and slaughter most of the people on board. He comes out the next morning and finds most of them slaughtered, and he and the survivors, they keep sailing. They reach an island. On the island, there are underground caves. So there are multiple parallels to From, and I think they might have used that as an influence. So having Kenny and Christy reading it was like a little wink and a nod to that.
Yeah, that's got quite a few references to the show. I'm not sure that it's a good story to read when you live in that town.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
They're all slaughtered.
Is that a book from Lost? Fletcher says it is a book from Lost. I don't think it's in Lost, is it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I
haven't watched Lost, so I can't.
Of course I know.
Yeah. Golden Child says it's called Trapping Him in the Friend Zone. Yeah, kind of. You're not wrong. I
think she wants to have a relationship with him. But
yeah,
she doesn't
I know.
She doesn't know what the status is going to be, because people outside of From might think that she's dead. Marielle might have moved on. You never know.
Yeah, true. True. And sorry, Fletcher, I'm slow tonight, so I didn't know you were joking. I don't know. There's a lot of book references in Lost, so you never know. Um, so let's see. Like I said, she's like, I don't think I'm gonna have time to read tonight. That was kind of funny though. Like,
Yeah.
there's kind of a lot going on that's a little more important.
Yeah. I think he just want to talk to her. You know,
No,
here's
oh
the
yeah,
book. I just wanted to see you. All
yeah.
shucks, you kissed me. I'm
um,
empowered.
yeah, exactly. So Jade and Jim go to Donna. I love how these people just pull around body parts in the wheelbarrow and nobody ever
yeah.
pays attention to it. You know, because she's doing the same thing. I'm like, are there body parts in there? Yep.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
There were. No, there were. I mean, you can tell there are. I just think it's funny because see, yeah, gross body parts.
They're so nonchalant about it that you can see how desensitized they've become to carnage at this point. You know, Donna was just kind of stoically collecting the body parts strewn all over the hill and putting them in the wheelbarrow, and so she's so nonchalant that you don't even like, unless you're really paying attention, you know, it might not even zero in on the fact that there's like a big leg that she puts in the wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Dismembered leg.
I mean, they kind of have to be desensitized to it at this point. I think I think you'd go crazy if you paid too much. I mean, not that you could ignore it, but I mean, like they have to be, and especially her, like she's picking them up. She's got to do something with them, get them out of there, you know. But Jim and Jade come to talk to her. Jim does the talking, I noticed, which is probably a good thing. Tells her how they want to build the tower, put it on Colony House because it's the highest point. Hopefully, then get the signal over the rooftop the treetops. And she's basically like, well, half the 14 people here died. They're not fixing it right now. I don't think they're going to care. They're not coming back. It's basically what she said. It's like, might as well use it for something. I think she's a little upset that nobody's living there right now. Everybody's left and is afraid to be there. So she's like, sure. But obviously that ends up there's more body parts. Gives them something to do, which is good because they need that. We can do it. Those are funny pictures. That's like, sure, fine, whatever. So yeah. I feel like as much as I feel like I'm going slow, I feel like I'm moving through this episode and skipping things. So if you have, comments, please say that, push them in.
I just thought that was another great shot with the clouds and everything. I mean, it's sometimes hard to shoot with clouds because they're constantly moving, but it's really beautiful shots outside of this colony house with the building that they like built for the set. I mean, it's kind of like a set.
Yeah, I was going to say some of that could be a matte painting, but I don't know that there would be a point. It would probably be a waste of money to do that. So it probably really is this guy.
Yeah, well, they're moving around when you have the pictures of Jim and stuff. So it's like really interesting. Yeah, but it looks beautiful.
You know what I was just thinking that's funny is we go through so many things. I'm surprised we've never stopped and analyzed the shapes in the clouds. And no, I don't want to do that. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, the faces in the clouds. I can see a face right now, but it's a Kier. Yeah. So
yeah. No, it's just funny. I just thought about it. I sound like I'd have no problem skinning a chicken. No, I would have lots of problem if it was live chicken skinning it. I like animals. I would never be able to kill an animal like that.
Me neither.
I honestly, I wish I am I am a picky eater. And I really wish I wasn't, because if I wasn't, I'd probably be a vegetarian because I don't like that I know I'm killing animals, but I'm kind of like, it's like in Friends. I'm like, well, somebody else is going to eat it if I don't know. But I would never hunt or anything like that. I'm not that person.
Yeah, I'd starve to death. If it came down to it, I would just starve because I wouldn't be able to.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to kill and skin an animal at all.
I've dressed rabbits and pheasants when I lived in Scotland because I lived close to a hunting lodge and they had game hung up that you could buy real cheap.
Yeah.
So I have those yellow jacket survival skills. I
couldn't
haven't
do it.
hunted though, but in a pinch, I can dress a rabbit or defeather a pheasant.
Well, I would be very bad with survival skills. I definitely would, but I lost where was that? Yeah, that's what I mean. That was what I was referring to, Justin. I was saying that like if I'll eat it, somebody else it's already dead. Somebody's gonna eat it. I would not make a good vegetarian as much as I kind of wish I was. That's a dumb thing to say, but
I could
you
probably
get my
fish
point.
easy. I could fish.
Yeah, I think I went fishing when I was little, but I was like
Yeah.
really little. Now I wouldn't. Yeah, and yeah, I don't know that I've heard the term dress a rabbit either.
Well, I thought it was better than like pulling the skin off of it like a glove.
Oh, okay.
Dressing
Okay.
means taking the skin off and making it preparable to cook.
Got
But you
it.
can pull it off like a glove if you want me to get into detail.
No, too much info. Too much info. Let's see. Sarah and I'm skimming through my I lost where I was at. Okay, so Sarah and Boyd in the woods. I just want to mention because I did not think about this before, but I mean this is I'm assuming the shack that Fatima ends up in. We seen it clear back then and never thought anything of it.
That one that's like a whole 300 yards away that nobody
Yeah.
finds.
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty far away from what they've said before, but it doesn't seem to be. But it's just interesting because I never would have thought, oh, we're going to see that, that shack again later. I hadn't really thought about it, but they stop, and this is where he says that he's going to go back to town. You need to stay there, and he's going to handcuff her, and she's like, you don't have to. And this is what I said earlier. Like, I'm not sure what he thinks she's going to do. If she goes back to town, they'll kill her. If she goes out into the woods or leaves and doesn't stay with him where he has the talisman, the creatures will kill her. So it's not like she really has anywhere she can go. So she's right. Like, I'm not going anywhere. Her safest place is with him, really.
And maybe he thinks that the voices in her head are going to lead her somewhere.
Maybe. That shack, though, they put like a talisman on it when they keep Fatima in there. If that is the same shack, it's not very secure.
It's not really nice.
Yeah. And I have, and we can talk about that when we get to whenever he finds the talismans. I thought they had to be in an enclosed space. That place he's at with the talismans is so not enclosed, which confuses me even more. That statement
It bothered me. Yeah.
Even
That's pretty breezy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that even that like is just a beautiful. And all it is grass and bodies. I didn't even notice that's bodies in the background. That's showing they come up. I have to think it had to have been hard to dig all these holes. I mean, I would think clearly the monsters have seen them dig the holes. They know where they're at, but I guess that's why a lot of them they find. And it's kind of almost as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking that it's sort of a juxtaposition because you think of like, the dead crawling out of the ground or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And
like
yet
zombies. Zombies or vampires. Yeah,
and here the ones who are alive are underground and the bodies are strewn across the road. Boyd didn't want the voices to tell Sarah to hurt him. Remember, he doesn't know yet that they won't tell him that. He was taking safety precautions. Yeah, but I'm talking about when he said he was going to handcuff her before he left. Like, she's not going to go anywhere. Handcuffing her when she's with them, maybe, but handcuffing her so she don't run away. It's kind of like, yeah. I'm not sure that she would have went anywhere. This is all flashback. And, I didn't think about it, but like, Boyd's wearing blue. He's wearing yellow through all the rest, but he's wearing blue in the flashback. Lots of bodies. He helps his wife out. Trying to go through there we go. I don't want to leave it on the carnage.
Yeah, that especially that. The ribs sticking up.
Yeah, not great there. Let's see. So Donna says, welcome to your worst nightmare.
Another nightmare reference.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many times have we heard nightmare and dream reference at this point? The other thing I love that Cawtrey just his comment, there's a lot to unpack, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's what we're doing. which is kind of funny. But he's like, I'll talk to you at the diner. He's like, there's a diner. Yeah. So they basically say yes. They hide. He needs a new suit, really bad.
Yeah.
I thought Ellis is like really not having it. He's like, no, no. So they're at the diner, and they say that they do just hide and pray, and they don't know how. Wait, Abby says, don't know anything else about this place. They want to know. She wants to know do they know who built it or how long it's been there? And he says, what we know is what you see, and people are just trying to live through the night. It doesn't give us much time for anything else. And this is where, again, Boyd, Mr. Fish and Loaves, is right away like, well, this is what you have to do. And he's taking on that leadership role, which, I mean, he has it throughout the series. I just think that it's not going as well as it was at the beginning. But he's the first one that says, you got to work together. You got to share your resources and, take turns. Although I'm not sure how rotating hiding places, I guess he means overall rotating hiding places as opposed to rotating hiding places between people, because switching and putting one person at, in the opposite place isn't going to make them not find them. So yeah, they have to have an awful lot of hiding places though, with the amount of people that are in the town. If you think about it, it's one of those things I've said before, like you kind of just have to suspend your disbelief, because it seems impossible that they could have that many people and they could hide and the monsters actually wouldn't, know where they're at. Although whether they actually could kill them and don't has been debated. But yeah. Let's see.
You also don't know how many people were in the town. How many people are in the town when Boyd shows up?
I don't know. I'm just going by how many bodies are in the ground and how many people it showed congregating. So there are quite a bit there. Let's see. But basically he's like, you gotta work together and build a community and take care of it. And he's like, where do we start? So they just start taking over, and they're like, this is what you got to do. And yeah, and it's obviously helped immensely. I'll be honest though, I'm kind of surprised in this scenario that everybody looked to him as a leader. I guess they were really looking for that person to lead, because I'm surprised that like some of the people weren't like, I'm not sharing my food with you. I'm not, putting all our resources together. Usually you get that, that Dale character. It's like, nope, not going to happen. And granted, we don't really need, I guess, that part of the backstory to see that whole thing. So it may just be, it was done to be quick. I don't know. Sitting there talking, lots of pictures going through, more red shirts.
Some younger red shirts that you never see again. There was a lot more younger people in the first season.
Yeah, there is. We don't get to see, although some of them could be dead, but either way, they agree they'll put their food and their resources together, and they listen to Boyd. Although, Boyd, I think, has a commanding presence. He's got leadership qualities that people listen to. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them fought him, but we don't get to see that because we don't really have time for that. Now, Ethan, looking at pictures. Now, I'm assuming that's supposed to be Boyd. I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but this to me seems like more of a joke / Lost reference, because that dog looks like Vincent. It looks absolutely nothing like that German Shepherd, or I think it's a German Shepherd. The dog later, because that dog later is dark, and that is like a light colored dog.
I thought it was supposed to be a goat.
Yeah, I thought it was a goat.
Oh, it is. You're right, it is a goat. I thought it was supposed to be Vincent. It was a joke. Well, I'm going with Vincent, but no, it does look like a goat. Now that you said that, it does.
I mean, let me look at it a little closer.
It does
kind of has a dog-like quality to it, though.
It could be
the nose and everything.
That's funny. But anyway, I thought it was more just like funny, because it clearly doesn't look like the dog in the show. So the next scene after he's done looking at is there's some more, and then what's underneath it? I was gonna say I guess we don't get to see the one underneath it. They must not have shown it. So Julie is in shock, basically. Her mother's, I think you went back there a little bit. I'm not sure why it flipped back to him again. I don't know. Weird. Anyway, okay, so Julie is in shock. She's asking her mother about the divorce, and she's like, I don't know, it's not that simple. And she says, when you're a parent, you'll know that your children are what's important. And she says something broke in her when Thomas died. And this is how she explains, how Thomas rolled off the changing table. And it made me think again about I do not think that Julie can story walk past the time in the town. I just personally don't. But it would be kind of interesting if it ended up that she was the one that called and created a bootstrap paradox in the first place,
It would be cool. That would be a cool twist.
Yeah, I don't see it happening, but
I don't know why they're sitting in dirt. Why are they sitting in dirt?
Yeah, this also weird. And we already, I was gonna say we already knew, but I guess we didn't know this then. This is when we find out the stuff, I guess. I was thinking we knew this, but no, this is just kind of, backstory. And they probably should have told her sooner, and it would have helped, I think, their relationship if they told her what happened. She was old enough to know what happened to her brother, unless they thought she'd blame them maybe, and that's why they were kind of scared too. I don't know.
Because of their negligence.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bad accident what happened, but it probably would have helped her a little bit. So, where did I go? Okay, so Tom, is actually alive here. He has like one outfit. He's always wearing the same outfit. And
always.
And Eli, I guess is the other guy's name.
Oh, he has a name.
Yeah,
Eli.
I write down too much when I'm writing down stuff.
Well, that's cool then.
They're basically like, or I think Tom's the one who says it, that he says that, if the people from Colony House are going to be using my supplies and somebody's going to take the food from here, it's going to be me. He's like, I'm putting me above them. And, Boyd comes and he's like, nobody's going to take it. And he's like, yeah, well, they weren't supposed to be able to get in Colony House either. And look what happened.
It seems to be kind of like a personality change for Tom. He seemed to be kind of chill before.
Yeah, and here he's like, I'm not going to let them take my stuff. And Boyd's just like, you want to throw it all away and start acting like an animal, make it worse? Which he's not wrong. I mean, if they fight over it, it's just going to make things bad. But poor Tien-Chen.
Yeah,
poor Tien-Chen. She's like, I know they're scared, but, they're causing havoc. And I'm going to get to the scene, and then I want to check. Let's see. Wow, sorry, he really needs a bath, or at least to change clothes, right? I was going to say we've probably gotten. I forgot there were a lot of Justin's questions up here. We already talked about Kenny's leader actually, but some of these ones we skipped because I forgot they were there when I went back to go in order. So I apologize. We'll back up a little bit. What does Jim's determination to build the radio tower reveal about his character and his approach to survival? All these questions making us think, Justin. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that determination kind of decreased as the show went on.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think so too.
Was really adamant at this point to go home to do the work. Was listening to Jade. I mean, I don't like the asshole Jim part of it, but I like the part of Jim trying to find answers.
Like being really proactive and writing stuff on his wall and sketching out the tower and all that. Yeah. I don't know what that meant.
I miss that. I mean, the voice told him to that his wife should let it go, but I'm not sure that is really feels like a reason that makes sense that he quit. I mean, his wife almost died, but I don't know. Do you miss that part of him, Julie?
I mean, yeah, that was when he was actually useful. Um, he just stopped being.
Not
I mean,
wrong.
he got more and more useless in season 2 and then season 3.
Yeah, you're not wrong. uh, yeah, I missed that. I do miss that Jim. I think that maybe he would have had more. He would have got along with people in the end better if he continued, because he just ends up getting more and more bitter. I feel like, you know. Why does Donna agree to use Colony House for the radio tower despite her initial hesitation? How does this decision reflect the current state of the community? I think Donna just kind of like doesn't know what to do at this point. She's like, everybody's left. At least this way they'll come back. It gives them something to do, gives them hope.
Yeah.
I think that she's right now lost a lot of her determination and her hope. Like really a lot of the community has now that Colony House has been attacked, which could have been prevented really easy. Let's be honest.
Kevin.
Kevin.
Kevin would just hooked up with Trudy. I mean, seriously.
Could have solved so many problems.
There's nobody in Colony House that can do a little matchmaking.
Yeah, I know, right? They need a resident matchmaker. And sorry, some of these I should have went to before. How does the tension between Colony House residents and the town residents escalate? What role does Boyd play in diffusing it? That's kind of what we just said about him, you know, yelling at them not to act like animals and try to take and not share. I mean, at this point, and you know, I never really thought about it till this episode, but we talk about how they're not separated now and they don't do the ritual and that anymore. I mean, this is kind of what started that, because they had to learn to live together because they didn't have, at this point, they didn't have Colony House. And I mean, they do fix it back up, but I don't know. I mean, do the people go back to Colony House or do they stay in the other houses in the town? They never really say.
Well, I think that, I mean, I know that Clara stays where's Jade staying, because they have a couple scenes together.
Later on, yeah.
Yeah. So it must have been for a while, and I think after a while they started moving back.
Yeah. I mean, we know that there's not tons of time that passes either, so it may just not be fixed up either. I mean, they have to fix windows with what they have and everything.
Broken windows, open doors, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, broken windows, open doors, you're right.
Yeah.
I guess that is probably what this means in this episode. I have to question, though, that you would feel safe in Colony House after this. It's not that it's any less safe than the other houses. It's that there's too many people in and you can't, like, you have to trust everybody, not just yourself, which is kind of scary. So, yeah, I think it's safer in a house. You can control things a little better. But, yeah, I mean, at this point, the tensions are high because they have to get along. They have to share. They have to live together because there's not enough housing. So they're kind of stuck with it. Let's see. What does Tabitha's confession to Julie about Thomas's death reveal about the emotional strain on the family, and how does it affect the relationship? Well, I think it shows how broken the whole family is.
Yeah.
I mean, their marriage is broken, although that does happen a lot of times when a family loses a child, I think.
Yeah.
But I said before, I think that maybe they would have had less strain and would have not been so bad off if they hadn't lied about it and hid it. I think that's what's to blame, and maybe it wouldn't have gone so bad if they had talked about it, at least with Julie. I mean, I don't know that Ethan is really old enough to understand some of it, but Julie was, and I feel like they could have.
Yeah. And then, like, when Julie talks to Tabitha, she says, you have 2 other kids.
Yeah.
You know?
And Tabitha is not, you know, giving them what they need.
The communication was just not good. Julie asked, like, why didn't you just tell me this before? So yeah. That was a big issue.
Yeah, and that's why I think that issue could have been avoided.
Oh yeah.
let's see. Justin's got a lot of questions tonight. How did Victor's cryptic drawings, like the one of Boyd with the goat, contribute to the mystery surrounding the town? Well, I mean, I think they give clues to things, and it makes us want to dive into it
A
more.
prophecy.
The prophecy, yeah.
I mean,
And
before this one,
we still haven't decided if that's a goat or a dog, though. It's up in the air there.
before that picture, he has one with a giant spider web on the back. So, giant spider prophecy might come true.
Yeah.
I know you want it.
I mean, I think it definitely hints to maybe foreshadowing things, and that you can use it a way to find, what might be coming, or what we can, glean from it to use later.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else to add, Julie? I'm trying to make sure you get to talk. You're quiet.
Yeah, I'm just really tired. I think it shows Victor can see things even when he's not physically present, because they didn't show us Victor in that scene when Boyd took the goat out of the woods. He was explicitly not in the scene. He was nowhere around. So how did he draw that picture? I don't think
Yeah.
all of his pictures are of things he's seen. He's drawn some pretty wild things. I mean, has he seen a gigantic fire and like a giant flood and all this other stuff? I think he might be able to see future events.
Yeah, I think that is a good theory. Or he's seeing, maybe he's seeing visions, or seeing things that could come to pass. Why the heck is my phone lit up like it's like I was talking to it? I hate when it does that. Like I must have said something that sounded like the name of the phone, that made it light up. It was listening to me. What role does Christy play in maintaining stability in the town, and how does her relationship with Kenny develop in this episode? Well, I mean, I think Christy represents stability in the sense that she's the healer, but she's not in this episode a whole lot, to be fair. And yeah, I think we sort of already talked about this, that she's leading him on without meaning to, and without knowing what's going to happen. I mean, I think that's kind of what happens. But yeah, I think she does represent stability because she's the healer, and they look to her a lot of times to be able to fix things. Not as much as they do like Boyd, but somewhat still. All right, let's see what else. Let me hit a couple more before we move on. That's all the stuff that was about the boy in white, the man in yellow. These were kind of random comments about Severance mixed in. So it wasn't necessarily something they were asking. We talked about that. Let's see. How does Kenny? Okay, that was the thing about Kenny. Yeah, we already did that. Take your shirt off in the bath. Somebody having a bath? Oh, because I said he needs to take a bath. I said that before. I said he needs new clothes. This is what we were talking about before I started answering the other question. Jim's determination decreased because people kept brushing him off. Meanwhile, he's the one who made a couple of breakthroughs. Yeah, that's 100% accurate. People didn't, no, they didn't put enough stock in what he said. And I feel like him and Jade could have gotten really far if they kept working. Well, I mean, Jim would have to rein in his anger. But, I mean, he did. He was definitely one that made breakthroughs. Donna literally brushed the voice off like it was nothing when he was writing notes on the wall and said the answer was 11. People brushed him. Well, I think the 11 thing was more like a nod from the writers, so we'd see it later. But yeah, you're totally right. Nobody really listened to him, and he wasn't that bad. Or
yeah,
well,
yeah,
I think it was.
Okay.
It was 12. Yeah, you're right.
Something that I didn't know.
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I got annoyed saying AA saying can't understand about the Jim hate. I got annoyed a lot of times with Jim's attitude and the way he treated people. Not that sometimes they maybe didn't deserve it, but CT5 says maybe
I think it's more just the intensity of it. It's like really intense.
Yeah. Yeah, and he yells a lot. I mean, not that
Yeah,
Jade doesn't,
instead
but
of just saying, Victor's in the diner, like, hey, get away from my kids, he's like picking them up and throwing them out. Where he could just talk. He could just use his
yeah,
words.
yeah, he needs therapy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. But anyway, CT5 says maybe Victor draws out the dreams he has we don't know about yet. Yeah, I mean, he could be seeing it happen because he sees him in a dream. That's definitely possible. And I don't know, Dieter. I'm seeing them in. You know what? I wonder if there's a chance to answer your question, Dieter. There's a chance that he's coming from NDB Media, or I guess you'd say sister network, the one that hosts this, because they're definitely coming from YouTube. It just might be from the other YouTube, rather than sci-fivision. Alrighty, back to what we were doing. So where was I? Okay. So he's talking to Kotri, and he's asking about things coming out at night, and are they in the forest during the day? And he's like, not as far as I can tell. And even though he can't find volunteers, he's going to go look in the woods. And I have to say, saying to go look what's in the woods is like one of the smartest things people have done since they've been there, in my opinion. I mean, not that he knew he'd find the talisman, but I think that going into the woods was a smart move. Okay, that is not the box. That's a bus. Okay, I was looking to see. I thought at first that was the box.
Mm-hmm. No, there's another box yet, though.
Yeah, I don't think they had made it. Otherwise, she would have she got killed, I guess, before she could have ended up in the box, but she maybe would have ended up in the box. But he's going to go out and look. And meanwhile, she is kind of lost, and he's asking if she's okay. This is where she says that she was thinking about a dream she had as a little girl. I think that is Justin says he loved to hear our review of the episode. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. I lost my train of thought. Sorry, the way I feel I keep losing my train of thought really easy. So Abby is saying she had a dream as a little girl. So what do we think about that? I mean, do we think it's prophecy? Do we think it was just a dream? Do we think it was that she was reincarnated as Tabby was, and that's why she had a dream? I mean, because I think that's what a lot of people thought back then, like back when we started hearing about Tabitha's dreams. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I personally have always just interpreted this as her remembering a dream in which she died and then woke up when she was a kid. And then, because we've all had those types of dreams, and when you die in the dream, you wake up. So she thought, well, this is all too surreal to be reality, so this must be a nightmare. I've got it. So she just snapped and thought she had to wake everybody up. I mean, it's possible she could have dreamed of this place, but I don't really know how much that would serve the story at this point, since she died, and I don't know, like, I don't think it really makes much sense for her to be reincarnated. Right now, I'm just thinking Tabitha and Jade are reincarnated. If they were gonna do like a fleshed out story like that for Abby, I would think that they wouldn't have killed her off before the events of the show. That's my opinion.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't think she's been reincarnated either. I'm just, the scene doesn't, what you're saying makes sense. That's a good way to explain it, because I wasn't kind of sure what to think of it because of the whole Tabby had a dream about being there. But you're right. She doesn't actually, I don't think she actually says she dreamt of being there. She hasn't said
Nope.
she had a dream.
She
So
never said it.
More sense. Yeah.
And yet most of the fandom keeps saying this like it's fact. Like they like watch the scene and listen to the wording. She never said she dreamed of this place, but people keep saying that she did, and that it's fact.
Yeah,
it's not fact.
if you listen to her wording, she did not.
It's a theory.
Because I have written that she says just thinking about a dream I had as a little girl. So she never actually mentions what it was. But yeah, you're right. Saying that she maybe died in the dream and woke up, that makes sense. AA though did say, what if Tabitha and Abby had the same dream? It would be interesting, but yeah, I'm not sure that makes sense. And I kind of agree with what you said. I think that if it was something like that, I think that we would know it by now and she wouldn't be dead, because how does that add to the story if a character that long died had the same dream and then was never brought up again? So I would say probably not. Let's see.
It's the same reason why I think Eloise must be still alive, because they keep bringing her up. She's got to still be important. Otherwise, what was the point? Like, there's got to be a point. She can't just be dead, because there was no point in introducing her if she was already dead, and keep bringing her up again and again.
Why not just say who found her body? Like, it's too,
It's the same type of rationale. What I mean.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Golden Child says it was clear that Abby had a deja vu moment. That also is a good way to put it. This was about, I missed this comment by Golden Child before. Sorry about that. He's talking about Jim before. If Jim can't control Tabitha wanting a divorce, he tries to control everything else he's a part of. I think that's a good assessment. He does. And that might be why he's losing control. And he also probably feels like he's lost control too, because he lost his child. I mean, I think he's just struggling to, get control. So, he's always trying to get control that he doesn't have. Kate, I had a dream like Tabitha. Okay, David thinks Tabby had a dream like Tabitha, though. So,
yeah,
maybe.
I mean,
don't know.
it's a theory.
It's
a debatable theory.
Anything in this show could be true.
I just get frustrated when people state it as fact all the time. It's like, it's a theory,
Yeah. No, yeah, and I agree. And I guess that's the point. She could have definitely had a dream of herself being in that town. It's just that's not what she actually said, is the point.
Exactly.
It's very vague.
It
open
is.
to interpretation.
Yeah, it is. Kay Bruce says she was hearing voices like Sarah. That's also a possibility, that it wasn't exactly a dream so much as they were reminding her of this or talking to her. Because I kind of wondered if she decided to kill people because she was told to. Because this more makes it, and it could be either, but I feel like part of the thing with Sarah was they kind of had this question and even brought it up, is she a disturbed person who had a breakdown, or is she hearing voices that are really there, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like this scene plays out like she just broke and had a breakdown and had a mental problem that she thought this. So I kind of like the idea that maybe it was more than that.
Right.
But I at the same time, I think it can work either way and be good and have, have meaning, because there's also the idea that she was sick, whether she was really hearing real voices, whether she was just interpreting a dream, whatever. She was having a mental problem. Ellis saw it. He said, Dad, she needs help. And Boyd didn't help, which is kind of the big point of that he didn't do anything about it.
Right. And I just want to point something out, actually, before we leave that point. Now, I'm not saying that everything, like all theories have to have some narrative significance to the plot in the future, and otherwise there's no way that this could be true, that there's no point in theory building off of characters that have already died. Because as a matter of fact, I mean, I have a theory about, Mr. Liu, who died in like the second episode. And he died, but like, I'm convinced that he was hearing voices in his head when he started getting agitated and talking in Cantonese, and he looks left and right. Out of nowhere, he all of a sudden turns from a good mood to getting agitated, talking in Cantonese, looking left and right. And I believe he was hearing voices in his head. Now, we're never going to come back to that again because the character died, and we'll never know more about it. So you can absolutely theory craft off of characters that have already died and stuff. And maybe Abby did dream of this place as a little girl. That's just not my personal opinion, but you know.
Well, the thing is, too, we only have so many episodes, so there could be things that were left as threads that maybe they would have gotten back to. Maybe we would have gotten a flashback of her dream eventually. I mean, who knows? We probably
100%.
will
Yeah.
never know.
Absolutely. Like, I'm sure they have ideas in their minds of what some of these characters' histories were that they just never had a chance to tell. And I'm sure there's more in the future that they won't have a chance to tell us in terms of the history of the characters. But it would be cool if they would just like, when the whole thing is over, just tell us all the other ideas that they had, unless they make spin-offs or something.
And
Just
answer all our questions.
tell us all of it.
all our gazillion questions. AA saying, I wonder if she already had mental health issues from the Marines, or was it the Navy? I think it was the Navy. I think it might have been, but said this place probably made her crack, made her feel like she was under attack. Yeah, it could have been a PTSD thing even. That's a good point. But I think the biggest point, like I said, is that Ellis saw it. Boyd didn't listen. Boyd failed him because he didn't listen. And it also brings up the idea when he thinks that Fatima is having a nervous breakdown and he wants to make sure that he's listening. I mean, I think that's the takeaway from it, in my opinion, the parts that matter. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter why she broke it's interesting to know if it was voices or prophetic dream or something, but I don't know that we really need to know for it to make sense, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. So let's see. Out of the flashback, we're past the flashback now, so I'm scooting forward. Okay, so Boyd is going to go, and Kenny's like, you can't go right now. They're almost had a riot there. Everything's coming apart. We already lost people. We're going to lose more if they panic. And Boyd agrees that he'll stay till it settles down. And then Kenny's like, but what if it doesn't? And he's like, you told me that I had to step up. Why is it different now? So I take it back. He thinks that he should go. Because he's saying that you act like we're safe now because of the talisman, but we're not. We never were. It's only temporary, and that we need to find a better solution, basically. And he's like, if they're answers, you need to go find them. And I love in this scene how after he says that, Donna comes in, and Kenny's like, you need to get over what happened last night and get your shit together and be the scary hard ass you've always been, because that's who they need. I mean, he tells her that. He tells her. And, he basically says, if you're going to give up, you might as well just eat a bullet because you're not helping anything. We need to get everybody back together. It's interesting too, because this episode, we talked earlier about Boyd telling people they need to work together. They're kind of like come full circle, haven't they? Like, the people are fighting. They don't want to live together because this isn't what they agreed to, and they don't want to share the resources. And it's just kind of like, you need to work together. It's like, you should know this by now, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
I like how Kenny mans up, and I like that whole speech. It was satisfying to see him like take a stand and really shocked Boyd and Donna too. They were speechless.
Yeah, it was a good scene.
And Donna says, I didn't know the little bastard had it in him.
Yeah, she does say that. There's more of him yelling at her. So he's like, listens to him. He's going to go out. So it serves its purpose. But yeah, it's a good scene. He's like, here, you eat a bullet if you're not going to help. That's basically what he says. Yeah. Almost, not quite in those words, but close enough. And they're like laughing about it away. Yeah, he stepped up. That's what they needed. Now, I'm assuming you took a picture of this getaway. Looks like you sharpened it. Yep. I don't know. It made me think of Lost because of the plane, and it made me think of Severance because of the pineapple. So beyond that, I don't know if I have anything interesting to say other than it reminded me of Lost and Severance.
Well, when I first watched this, the first 2 watches, I didn't actually notice the billboard because it's very faded. And it wasn't until I saw like someone post a still of it, I was like, where the hell does that come from? And then when we did this rewatch, I finally saw it, and so I sharpened the image, I enhanced the color so you can see it better. And I just think that it's just once again the evil entity having a wicked sense of sarcastic humor, because it's like they can't get away, they're trapped
Mhm.
there. Like, this is the ultimate getaway, like, it's a permanent vacation in this hellscape, and they can't get away from there, so I think
Yeah,
it's just
ultimate
taunting
irony.
them.
Yeah.
It's taunting them, just like it trolled
Yeah.
them with the "Celebrate good times, come on" in the diner.
Yeah. I have to wonder though why there's a billboard in the middle of the yard like that. It's odd that it's even there.
Just to
But yeah,
troll them. I
it's
mean, why
like
is anything here?
it's almost like a Hawaiian billboard kind of.
Yeah, that
Although it
is.
looks like she has earmuffs on, so I don't know. I doubt it, but that's what it kind of looks like to me. I don't think
Yeah.
that's what it is, but I don't know. Yeah. Dieter said get away in a far away, asked Dale. Now that getaway they don't want.
No.
And so this is where Boyd comes out with the goat. And he says that he found it about a half mile away eating grass. There's oh wait, before let's go back to the billboard a second before we get to that, because I'm going to answer this question. Kay Brew says, isn't that the same woman on the suitcase in the tunnels? I think it might be, and it's also in that on Henry's computer or something like that. I remember seeing about this. I mean, I personally don't know because like I don't remember seeing it and connecting it, but I remember reading about it.
Wait,
You know what they're talking about?
The World's Fair sticker?
I don't know because I don't remember exactly the logo. So
yeah, I don't.
is it different?
I
don't
think,
know because I said I haven't like seen it. Like I don't. I mean, I've seen it, but I don't remember what the logo was. But I remember reading about it being the same logo on Henry's
yeah,
computer and on the suitcase. Is it the same one as
yeah,
this?
yeah. There's more than
I don't
one
know.
sticker on the suitcase. There's the World's Fair sticker, and there are other stickers. She might be one of them, and I do recall on Henry's computer, I'm pretty sure there was a sticker with that woman on it. Yeah.
So maybe
I
either
went,
way.
I went,
Reference.
you know, a lot of times when they think of darker things like cicadas and stuff in the town, but what if somebody thought of the sign? What if somebody said, I want to get away, and that manifested?
That would suck.
Like, I want to get away by plane, and then there was a plane. There
Yeah,
was
I
just a
wanna
sign,
I
not a
wanna
plane.
be all alone. Maybe it's somebody who doesn't want to be with a bunch of people. I wanna get some alone time. Far
Yeah.
away. Yeah, that's a good point. So this is when he finds the goat, and he says that he just found it out in the woods. There were chickens in the forest too. He talks about we need to, get a pen built and all this. And this is where I always reference when I talk about it and say that it seems to me that the town provided for them. It gave them food or, well, milk. We don't want them to kill the goat, but I mean, it gave them something they needed, eggs and milk and that. When they needed it. I mean, this is when they're starting to combine their resources at the beginning. And it just seems kind of random that they popped out in the middle of the woods. I mean, could they have been trapped in the town and wandered into it like everybody else? It's a possibility, but it's odd timing. I don't know. This is where it reminds me of something like a, cabin in the woods, Hunger Games type. Somebody's, watching them figure out what to do. And they're like, well, we'll help you along there.
Well, it's kind of like the vegetables by the lake.
Yeah, it's exactly like the vegetables by
Things
the lake.
disappear when people need them.
Yeah. I think that's definitely what it was about. Let's see. Justin asks, who are your favorite characters for the three of us? I like the goat. Can I just say the goat?
Elma? Is this Elma?
Yeah, no. Well, this one's a guy's a boy goat, a male goat. He says he. So I don't know if Ethan just called the he and Alma or there's another goat. Who's my favorite character? I don't know. I like everybody. I like I at different times I like different characters. I don't know that I really have a specific. I'd say Jade is still probably my favorite out of all of them, but I do like different characters at different times. But Jade is the one I feel like is the one who's solving puzzles. He's like the audience,
and he's hilarious, and has enormous emotional depth too. He's got it all. He's the whole package.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it changes too. Like I didn't like Julie in the beginning, and I like her now.
Yeah.
Now you know more what she's gone through in her backstory. It's easier to sympathize with her and not think she's just a bratty teen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think all the characters are good at different times, but yeah, I think Jade's probably my favorite. Oh, stretching, sorry. And yeah, thanks, Dieter. You say something to remind me, and I remember. If you haven't, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and also check out Julie's channel, Julie B Deep Dives, which is in the description. And also, I will, as I tend to do, post the Discord link again that I should have posted before. Make sure if you haven't, you join it because we have our From Watch Party right before this live stream every week. And then, of course, on Saturday, we also have our Severance Watch Party before our Severance live stream on Saturday. So check it out. But yeah. Now I lost where I was again. Isn't that nice? This is where, okay, that I'm not to that yet. Hold on. I lost where's my picture thing? Did I close it? No, it's still open. I can see it. I lost my window of the actual picture that we're looking at. It was on the other monitor or something and I lost it. There it is. Hold on one second. I gotta move it back so I can find it here. Sorry about that. Okay, so Boyd brings in the goat. That is probably what that drawing was of. The more you look at it, the yellow shirt and everything. I just really thought it meant the dog, and I just, looked at it as a joke. But he's like, we need to make pens and everything else. But yeah, I kind of wonder again if this could be manifesting, things manifesting, because he's like, I'm going to go out there and find something. And he did. He went out there and he found some help. So yeah, this is where Ellis is asking him for help. And also he makes this comment about, where'd it go? That sometimes it's like we just see her staring in the middle of the road. I guess that really doesn't mean anything, but for whatever reason, I wrote it down. But Boyd just basically says, I'm going to go look for more answers. When I come back, we'll talk. I promise. Is that a fire hydrant? Why is there a fire hydrant? I never noticed that till now.
Yeah, I never noticed that either.
Interesting. Find new things every day. But Boyd is the point is, it looks like Ellis is smiling there. It must just be the way it took it. Boyd is very dismissive of him. And I think that's too why he feels like he failed him, because he didn't listen when he tried to tell him. He came to him, he knew something was wrong, and we sort of talked about this, but he's like, she really needs help. And Boyd's like, I'll talk to you when I get back. This is more important, basically, is the way he acts. And clearly he should have listened. So he tells him he'll come back. Okay, then in the woods, Boyd starts marking the trees. This reminds me of Labyrinth here. He's scratching the arrow into the tree so he knows where he went. And this is where he sees the dog. And that was my point, that that's not a light colored dog. That was why I was saying I didn't drawing match. But he sees his dog and he goes to talk to the dog, and the dog runs and he follows it. Now, I find it interesting if you think about it. You got to question what the purpose, I guess, of the dog was. Did the dog lead him to the talisman? Was the purpose of the dog to get him lost in the middle of the night so the creatures could kill him? Does he represent the boy? I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about the dog? There's so many things it could mean, could be.
I think he. Oh, sorry. You go ahead, Scarlet.
Go ahead, Julie. You probably have your ideas better than I do.
No, not at all. But I'll go first anyway. I was just gonna say, the dog. I've gone back and forth multiple times on whether the dog is trying to help him or whether the dog just got him lost and was actually trying to do the opposite of helping. I mean, it's kind of a combination of both. He does get Boyd lost by getting Boyd to follow the dog. He winds up falling into the talisman hut as a result. Ultimately, the way that I finally made up my mind about the dog is I made up my mind about the boy in white, and I think the dogs belong to the boy in white. So since I decided to commit to the boy in white being a helpful entity, not pure good, but trying to help with whatever he can, I think the dog is also a helpful entity too. Yeah, Boyd had to get lost in the process, but I mean, he wouldn't have found the talisman hut if the dog hadn't gotten him lost in the first place by taking off running. So yeah.
So my second question for you was going to be then, which you sort of answered, is so you do think that the dog is an entity then and not a dog, or I mean, I guess it could be a spirit or something. That's still, I would consider an entity, but
I think
you don't think it's a dog at any rate.
Yeah, like for example, like just the way it pops up randomly, like remember when Victor took Ethan out in the woods and Jim and Tabitha show up to confront Victor, and all of a sudden these two dogs just appear out of nowhere on either side, barking like they're trying to protect Victor. I get the sense that they're an entity, but Scarlet, I think you have a different idea. Like maybe the dog is like traveling in and out of like the Fromville or something. What was, I forget, what was it, Scarlet, that you were describing before?
I was gonna say, she said be right back a little bit ago. She might have left.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure she'll
I think she had said something like because it was a dog that maybe it could travel back and forth.
Yeah, like
she's like that.
She thinks like it's possible like the dog is able to travel back and forth, and like maybe and maybe it's not even the same dog from 1978. Maybe it's like a relative of the same dog or something like that.
Well, we also have the theories that maybe time is different there too, so it's hard to tell. But yeah, I don't know. The dog's interesting because I just have kind of always wondered and not been sure what I think. Like it's one of those things where I don't know. There's different theories and I'm not sure which makes more sense to me. K. Bruce says, I think dog is a guide and guardian. I mean, I do, like I said, I definitely think that the dog led him to the it seems like it led him to the talisman hut, but it also seems like it got him lost. So it's really just hard to tell. AA says the dog causes trouble, which is the opposite of real life. Dogs are a man's best friend. They're supposed to help, not deceive you. Where the dog alerts the Civil War soldier. I don't remember the dog with the Civil War soldier. Hey, Bruce says, remember the other opposing dogs that show up. See, I just remember the dog that was with when Victor and Jim and them were there, like you were talking about, and that dog.
And also in of course in the flashbacks to 1978, the dog running around in the street with the boy.
Oh yeah, there's that one. Yeah, that's true.
That's what makes me think that the dog belongs to the boy in white because he was running around with the boy in white. Yeah. I can't remember if it was one or both of them that were with Boy in White in 1978, but oh yeah, I don't recall the dog being around in the Civil War vision.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but CT5 is saying the dog used to belong to one of the monsters. Could be, but I wonder if it did, is it still loyal to them, or because they're not human now, is it not helping them? I don't know. David says there's so many things to say about the canine and occult symbolism. Generally, grounded animals appear when a character is his lower self, and flying animals represent the higher self. Yeah, I just there's so many different, and I guess that's kind of my point. Like, I feel both ways about the dog. Like, it could represent, multiple things. We will ask her when she gets back. When Scarlet gets back. Oh wait,
That's what.
Oh, you are back. Okay, and that was what your comment was. Back. I was asking her, what do you think about the dog? Do you think do you think it took him to the talisman cave? Do you think it tried to make him get lost? Do you think it's good? What do you think about the dog? What do you think it is?
I don't know. I think several different things about the dog. A lot of times I think that maybe Fromville is this kind of pocket place that maybe dogs can travel through, because there was a theory that the dog, because it has a collar and everything, might be owned by a hiker or somebody who lives outside Fromville, and it can travel in between the worlds.
Yeah.
And it just, Boyd found it, and it's like finding the talismans is almost incidental.
So you think it's a real dog then, potentially?
Yeah. I mean, but the thing is, they were around when Victor was around, so who knows?
Yeah, is it the same dog? Yeah, that's what I said. I'm not sure. I kind of think different things about the dog, and I'm not sure which I think is more likely. Could be a lot of things. Golden Child brings up a point that there's got to be at least some people that arrived in Fromville with pet dogs. Mm-hmm. That is probably likely the case. Although I hope kind of that they, as much as I love dogs so much, but I hope they don't do that, because I don't want to spend the whole show worried the dog's going to die. That's my comment. Like, I don't want to worry about the dog through the whole show, because I would be. It's like the Alma for a lot of it. I was worried what was going to happen. So let's see. The dog is looking. The dog runs. He follows the dog. It's a pretty dog. And he runs, and he ends up lost, and it's night. See, I think at that point the dog may have left, and that's why I was kind of like, maybe the dog just tried to get him lost, but it's just unclear. But he incidentally finds, or falls into rather, the hut, which we'll get to in a second here once I get through all these pictures. Here, it's dark out now. And I'm saying about him getting lost and thinking about Lost. And, it's like their environment. No, but then I was thinking how, like, the environment in Lost is, like, very much part of the show, a character of the show. And I feel like the forest is a lot of times, too, on this.
Oh, yeah. The forest
Lost,
is
they're like banyan trees or whatever. So he falls, and it ends up he is in this, as we call, talisman hut, because he can see the creatures through the leaves and they don't bother him. They just kind of walk away. Now, this is where I have a little bit of a problem with it. They make a comment later in the show that, or not later in the show, I guess it was earlier in the show, because I think they might have said it in the beginning, that they can put a talisman on an enclosed space, right? And then it'll protect them. This is not an enclosed space. There's vines. They can see right through it. So I feel like either the statement that it has to be an enclosed place is incorrect, or we're supposed to assume that vines are considered makes it enclosed. I don't know. Does that bother you?
Or there's just a whole bunch of, like, more talismans and more power?
There's also that, yeah.
That's the only way I can make sense of it, because that always bugged me, that shouldn't work because it's not enclosed. And that, like, Boyd makes a whole point of saying that he didn't go out into the woods before and venture further than he could get back before dark, because he didn't know if the talismans would work in the woods. And it was only when he spent the night in the RV with one that he felt like, okay, maybe it is safe to go on this trek with Sarah into the woods and camp out. But he just did it then, and he didn't even have an enclosed space. So the only thing that makes sense to me is that maybe he just in his own head thought, oh, that probably just worked because all those talismans were there in that one spot, and he didn't think it was safe to try it again with just one, maybe.
Or maybe they did some experimentation with no door, and then the monsters came in.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I mean,
They're like,
it's
well, that
not
doesn't
like
work.
it's not like it's per se like a physical barrier or anything. I mean, obviously they use it in a tent, which they could rip through, I'm sure, with their, their claws. But yeah, it's more, I guess, to me, just the idea that they've made a comment that it had to be in an enclosed space, and that doesn't seem to be. We know that it doesn't work outside in the open because of when Randall has it. We know that. So yeah, I don't know. AA is saying, I wonder who put the talisman in a cave. Do you guys think a previous townsperson heard voices and found them somewhere else and hid them, or the monsters maybe hid them, but I'm not sure if they can. Yeah, I don't know. I still kind of like the theory of maybe Julie will put them there because like it's like a bootstrap paradox. She knows they work, so she creates them or she moves them there or something for him to find. I don't know that's going to happen, but I kind of wouldn't mind it. I would like to see, though, how they came to be. I think that is an important part of the backstory I would like to know. And can they create more? Like, why can't they just take another rock and paint on it? At least like make one and try it. Like, no, you don't want to experiment and risk somebody's life, but like I would at least have extras. So if something happens and you're stuck out, you could at least try it. I mean, he had to at some point, he got these out of the cave, and there's no way he would know, oh, I hang one on a door, it protects me. Because I agree with what you said, like it might just be there's so many in there. So what made him decide to hang it on a freaking door? Because at some point, somebody had to decide either I'm going to be brave and stay out and not hide, or something happened incidentally, which seems more likely, like they were caught out somewhere or something and they found out it wouldn't go through it. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, there was a theory, and I can't remember who had this theory. It might have been Parkland Media, but I'm not 100%, that they're made out of something that almost is like the opposite of magnets attracting, that it like, when you put magnets the opposite way, they detract, like something in those rocks are detracting the monsters. But I don't know why that would have to be a closed room.
Yeah, but that also makes me wonder if that's the case, then why wouldn't it work for Randall? If what you're saying is true, like
I guess I had to touch it a certain way to activate it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I know AA saying touch the talismans, but I'm not sure what exactly that's in reference to. Some people think the talismans hold magic, but some people think the monsters just respect if you use them like a game piece. I don't know. I mean, I've said before, I believe that the talisman actually work as opposed to the monsters just. I mean, that idea of maybe they respect it kind of could make sense. But I know some people have the theory that like it's just like a rule and something the monsters follow because it makes the game more fun or whatever, and that they don't actually do anything. I believe that the talisman work, and I'll believe that until I'm told otherwise, just because I feel like otherwise, what was the point of us being told that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you heard our whole conversation. We were talking about it not being an enclosed space, and I was saying I wish they'd show some kind of backstory and also how he started using them, because I'm sure they didn't just hang one on a door and decide they were going to stay and not hide and hope they didn't die. Like it had to be something that happened accidentally that they found out it worked or something. Like somebody was caught out or I don't know, something.
If anything, if I had to guess, I would say Boyd would be the type to volunteer to test that theory out. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one that did it.
Yeah. Well, that's why it makes me think of like Silo and like how they have the people clean when they go out, and how I remember that Bernard at one point, I guess this is a spoiler, but for last season, or no, I guess beginning of the season, when he said that like Juliet, he totally made up and lied and said that, oh, she was brave since she was going out to die, that she, tried a new suit or whatever to see that it worked. And, like she was this brave person that did that. Yeah, I don't foresee that happening. I think it's more like, I mean, it could, but I think it's more likely that like something happened, somebody was stuck and they found out that's how it worked, because you wouldn't really have rules. and you'd be afraid to try it. But that's why I wonder, like, can they make their own? And why not have extras just in case, you know? And David's saying there can only be 12, but we don't really know that. I mean, there may be 12, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there couldn't be more, that they couldn't create more. I mean, I have to think that it's probably more than just drawing on a rock, but yeah, I don't know.
How did we find out that there were 12? I've heard that around the fandom, and I don't remember how we got that information. Do we
I
know
don't
this?
know.
I'm wondering, like,
It
in
may
the
just be
chat,
all the
maybe
different
if
ones
it
they've shown or how many houses there are. I don't know. But I
maybe
definitely
someone in
know
the
that I would
chat
want
can
to live
tell us
in a
what
house where I
we
could control it better than living in Colony House and hoping the horny guys don't open the window for somebody. But it did
Yeah.
make me wonder though. Like, I feel like this scene also was a little strange because even if they repelled them or whatever, they come up to the vines, they talk, or well, they don't talk to them. They come up to the vines, they look at them, and they walk away. Like, is it not strange for them to at least tempt him and be like, hey, come out and talk to us like they do normally, you know? They just walked away like you're not important. Unless maybe there's so many, like, I'm trying to think of what they did other than they just kind of peered in, right? It
Yeah,
would be
they
kind of
got pretty
interesting.
close. The milkman
It
looked
would be
right in.
kind of it would be kind of interesting if it worked like a spell, like it masks them, and maybe there's so many, like he sort of disappeared, like they don't even know he's in there, like an invisibility cloak or type thing. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to know more. And also, is there anything like about the way they're arranged in the cave? They didn't say anything about that. Like he just starts pulling them out.
Yeah.
I wish they would just seal the cave entrances they know with about the talismans and then just don't spend the night in Colony House to see if it works. And if it does, they can carry on. Yeah, see if they come out. But I wouldn't be surprised if you did that, if they would sit there on their asses and let them think that they couldn't come out just so they like didn't go in with a talisman the next night and then they ate them or killed them all, just to be smart asses. I don't know. Just saying. But yeah, he just removes them, just decides. And that's why it would be interesting to me in a way and make sense if Julie put him there and it's a bootstrap paradox, just because he takes them and they work, but it's like, how does he know they work? How does he know how they work? That's really something I'd like to know more about. But there he is taking them out. And
yeah, how does he know that those are the things that are keeping the monsters out in the first place?
Yeah, how does he know how to use them? That kind of thing. So he comes into the clinic and he basically says, I'm going out. I might die. I want you to know I'm proud of you no matter what. That kind of thing. And in case he never comes back, he loves them. I'm reading it. You're my son. Yeah, and just kind of like, I'm leaving and I want you to know these things, and I don't want there to be anything you've left unsaid. And then Fatima, although I think this might be after he talks to Donna, but Fatima is like, you got to go talk to him or you're going to regret it. Because she's smart. But I think that's after he talks to Donna about it.
And he's emotionally too immature to do this on his own, so she has to like talk to him like he's a kid and she's his mom here.
Yeah. This is where Donna asks how it goes, and he's like, about as well as could be expected. And she tells him else will come around. She questions he's really going. He thanks her for looking after him, and she says that because he says did what he couldn't, and she's like, you've done more than enough. You've done more than anybody. Yeah. So he's done a lot. And then Fatima says in here at the next scene, after Dawn is done talking to him, she hugs him And then Fatima tells him, you better go talk to him or you're going to regret it. Basically, in case something happens, you need to go tell him what you want to tell him and forgive him. And I think she says about how what happened was inconceivable and that she knows that it filled him with rage and he needed a place to put that anger, and like his father let him blame him because he knows, I guess he needed somebody to blame. And she's like, but it wasn't his fault. And did you ever think about, how hard it was for him? So that's basically what that is. And then he comes out here. This is where he's picking up the talisman. He dropped one or whatever. And then he hears gunshots. And let's see. Going forward. Let's get any there. Okay, so Abby has a gun. And she is shooting people. And I have to question that. He said before how far that hut was, because they had to stop there before night. So they, had a place to stay that I guess they considered an enclosed space if they didn't take the tent. So I have to wonder how he heard a gunshot and got back that fast.
Maybe that's 300 yards away. He's 300 yards away.
The talisman thing is?
Oh, I thought you meant the shed. Yeah, I don't know where the talisman hunt is.
I assume it's far because there's the whole conversation with Kenny that like he has to stop there for the night to make sure they make it somewhere. It implied that it was kind of far, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just assumed that there was a little bit of a time skip and so like, we don't see the part where he's walking through the woods with those things, and then, we just see where he's emerging from the woods hearing the gunshots. That's how I always assumed it happened.
I guess it looked to me like he was gathering the talismans. He had just put them in his bag, but I guess that's true. Maybe it wasn't that. But he runs out and she tells him that nothing is real. It's a nightmare. Again, mentioning nightmare. And that you can't die in dreams, that if she kills them, they'll wake up. And she also will not listen to him because she says, bye, Dieter, thanks for coming. She says to Boyd that he didn't come back before dark, so there's no way he could survive, so he's not real. So it's almost like that's another reason she believes that this is a dream. And she's shooting people, and then she aims at Donna at one point, and he's trying to talk her down. And then Ellis comes up, and she aims at him, and Boyd shoots her in reaction. I think it was pure reaction. It was also forced to save his son. I think he would do it again, but I think a lot of it was sort of a reaction.
After they sang a little bit of If I Had a Boat.
Yeah. And that's why I said too, I think that song kind of represents hope, and it's like the hope's been destroyed in that moment, definitely.
That made that moment even more painful to watch, because there was that fleeting moment where you thought like, they thought like, Boyd thought, okay, maybe it's going to be okay. He smiles, she smiles, they're singing it together. And then a second later, bam, he has to shoot her. That made it even worse to watch.
Yeah. I remember him talking about, Harold Perrineau talking about like how he talked to the writers and that about this scene because he had to have a reason that he would I think he meant that he had to have a reason that he would be willing to shoot her. Like it had to be like he couldn't connect with that scene or whatever, and how that happened. Like they kind of changed it around. So that was why he shot her with Ellis. At least that's how what I'm remembering and how I took it. You'd have to listen to the interview, but he was saying something about that, like that like there had to be like he didn't think that there'd be any reason that he would shoot her, and they had to like come up with something that worked and made sense, and that's kind of how they came up with it. Yeah, I don't know, it's been a while since I've heard it, but it's interesting because she shoots other people and he doesn't do anything, and I don't know that he would have if she hadn't pointed it at Ellis. I think that he may not have. But yeah, it's a very sad scene, the whole thing. And we finally find out what happened to her. It tells us why Ellis has acted like he's hated his father for all this time. But yeah, I mean, she should have been put in the box probably. But it's also not fair because, I mean, they knew, well, at least Ellis knew she was sick and she needed help. And it's kind of Boyd's fault because he didn't do anything about it. So yeah, he failed both of them in that instant. But he, I mean, I think he made up for it by shooting her, which had to have been really, really hard and painful. So yeah, I agree. It's a hard scene to watch.
That's why this is my least favorite episode to rewatch. This episode I just find so deeply sad and tragic. Even just hearing the "If I Had a Boat" song makes me sad. Especially knowing that that's the last interaction that he had with her right before he had to shoot her. They were singing it together, and it's just absolutely tragic. But it's important in the history of the show, like, to have this episode and give you that insight into Boyd and his family history. And you need that information, and the finding of the talismans. That's an important part too.
Do they? I was so thinking about the pain that Boyd had when he shot her. Did they show Ellis's reaction? I didn't notice if they did because I was focused on Boyd.
Nope, they didn't show it. All they did was just show Boyd's reaction. They didn't show Abby falling or Ellis or anything like that, which was an interesting choice. You'd think that they would, most shows would capitalize on the drama however they could and show Abby falling and Ellis horrified. But I kind of like this minimalist approach, just focusing on Boyd's reaction. And they do this kind of thing a lot in this show. I like that minimalist approach and not having to exploit any opportunity for gore and shock and awe that they could. Like it just, I like that. I like that the way they do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also pushes the fact that his reaction is not that Ellis's reaction isn't important, but that's what we're learning from this is how it affected Boyd, and that is the important thing. Not so much that she died or. I mean, we already know it broke up and ruined, hurt their relationship. Yeah.
Right.
And Golden Child says a man protects his family, including protecting family from other family members. And that is true. And I missed a couple things. And this was about the dog. So this isn't about this, but I didn't want to skip them. Samuel had said that maybe the dog was a story walker. I don't know about that. I guess there's always that possibility, but CT5 said the boy in white could be a skinwalker and he can shapeshift to the dog in certain moments because everybody doesn't see the dog and everybody doesn't see the boy in white. And he could be, what if he's hiding his identity from certain people? Yeah, I do think it might have something to do with the boy in white, the dog. So
yeah.
Well, they had that scene with Victor too, with Tabby and Jim. The dogs are there.
Yeah. And that's true. 2 of the times Victor's been there. It is weird Victor isn't in this episode. I think we mentioned that earlier, but so he shoots her when she goes to shoot Ellis. And there's a lot of dead people, a lot of unalived people, as we say. That's where she's pointed at Donna, and Donna's like, no, and then Ellis comes up, and if I ever get that far. That's where he's pleading with her.
Yeah, these stills are really good because they show a lot of emotion, just being stills.
Yeah, I just hope
he's
that
grabbing towards her, she's kind of grabbing towards him, and she's kind of smiling.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just worry about going too fast. That is what tripped the copyright thing before. Okay, so Boyd leaves his I guess quote unquote uniform and badge for Kenny, I'm assuming. and he takes out the yellow shirt from that. And this is what I said. Who has two yellow shirts? It's even kind of rare just to have one yellow shirt, and this guy has two yellow shirts.
They look identical too, and he has a couple others that look really similar, but
Yeah.
all yellow.
It's a little different, but yeah, it's just funny. So he goes back out to the shack, but Ellis stops him, and Ellis says that if he hadn't brought them back, Fatima wouldn't have been able to save. Well, he says that it saved Fatima, but really it saved both of them whenever she saved him. But he's like saying, you know, that couldn't have happened without you bringing them back, and that it wasn't his fault what happened to his mother. And he didn't want him to leave without saying goodbye. And he's like, it's not goodbye. And then he sees Sarah, what's she doing here? And Boyd basically says, you know, I'll explain when I get back. You have to trust me. Do you trust me? And he agrees to trust him, which he has no reason to trust that really. But I mean, he's his father, but I don't know. He's kind of like, why is she here? Is this a bad thing? A good thing? We'll find out. And let's see. The other scene is, it looks like is between Donna and Kenny, so it must be after this. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice scene, and this is where they kind of reconcile, which is good because they've been, you know, really distant since everything happened. Now we know why, and now they're close again, which is good. And
yeah.
Okay, that's where he sees Sarah. See, I feel like I talk and I don't click, and then I click, and then I go back to talking. Sorry, guys,
Yeah.
I'm not great at doing both at once.
That's fine.
No, I know. So this is Kenny giving a speech, and he's like, you know, it's tight spot. Won't pretend otherwise. Boyd's risking everything for us, trying to find answers. That the least we can do is keep ourselves together, and that we're no longer, you know, colony house and town. We're one community, and we got to work together. And Donna's like, don't be shitty house guests. And then she tells him about Jim's idea, and I don't think they even mentioned Jade, but I guess probably if she said Jade, the people wouldn't listen. But she says you can either, you know, start boarding up the windows or help them build the tower. Need batteries and stuff, and you know, if we do it, maybe we'll be able to go home. And you know, she's giving them hope. I don't think that she believes it necessarily, but she's hoping that perhaps it will help them, and it definitely, like I said, I think it gives them hope, and I think that's why they play that song again too. Like it's hopeful, and there's something to look forward to, something to keep them busy, something to strive for, and with what they're going to do. And to answer your question, Justin, yes, it's 118 for me, and I believe it's 118 for both of them. So,
yeah.
So they agree. A lot of them are going to help with that. And this is where Fatima talks to Ellis. And he, you know, tells her he talked to him and that she was right. I think he says, I didn't write that down, but I think that's what he says. Then back in the shack, he's going to head out with Sarah. He cuffs her. Maybe so she don't, somebody earlier said maybe because the voices could talk her into doing something. I don't know. I think the cuffing was probably unnecessary. Unnecessary at best, a mistake at worst. And I don't know that it ends up mattering later, but yeah, I don't know that I like the idea. I don't think that he needed to. And yes, to answer you, Justin, I for one am exhausted, but I think we've only been 2 hours, 18 minutes for that. That's pretty short, I think.
Yeah.
Because usually we're a lot longer. I know yesterday, like I said, yesterday I went over 4 hours with Karen. But yeah, I'm exhausted partially because I don't feel well. So I figure it didn't hurt to wrap it up a bit quick.
And I only got like 4 hours of sleep, so that's why I've been like groggy and just out of it.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, do you guys have anything else to add?
I think we covered it pretty well. Yeah, I can't really think of anything we didn't already discuss, clearly enough. Scarlet, what about you?
I see that Sarah has a sweater. Did Boy give her a change of clothes? Because the sweater isn't bloody.
He had that bag. Maybe he brought her something so she wouldn't be cold. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a
I
good
mean,
point.
there's just too many days when people stand around being bloody, having somebody's blood on you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say probably brought it. Thank you, Justin.
I mean, better yet, her brother's blood on her.
Yeah, that's true too. That makes it even worse. So yeah, I mean, he was nice, I guess, and brought her a sweater, or maybe the actress was cold and they figured nobody would notice. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's, unless you guys have anything else we didn't talk about, I think we went through everything. So yeah. All I can say is I'll post the Discord link one more time. Make sure you guys join Discord so you can go to the watch parties Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. That's, I guess, well, technically tomorrow, but Tuesday night is our Fandom Access stream with me, Karen, and AJ. And now that Silo's over, I'm not sure what our show's about. I think we're going to do the rest of What If. I'm not sure what else. And then Saturday at 9 is our Severance live stream, and at 8 is our watch party for that. And then again, we do this next week again. And and I'll have, please make sure you like and subscribe, and you can check out all our previous live streams and videos on YouTube. And I will also add this. I usually, if I remember, try to remember to add all the From ones to the From playlist. But check all that out. Make sure you check out scifivision.com. You can check out all our updates on social media, and check out Julie's stream, which the link is in the description. And
yeah, we'll be doing our Severance stream technically tonight, Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll discuss Severance season 2, episode 2.
Yeah, and that's on your channel. And also, I'm going to put this up. I was working so hard on that damn thing until I started getting sick. I was trying to finish that. I try to make everything perfect, and I was done with the tree. I was done with the design, and I'm like, I'm going to add another bird. I'm going to do something different to it. And so now it's not finished again, and I got to finish it tomorrow. But I'm hoping to have the From design up by tomorrow. But that is where it will be. I know I keep saying it will be there, and it's not. It will be there. But yeah, From designs be up if you want a t-shirt or something and can help support the channel. And eventually I might have some Severance stuff there. I just need to get stuff done and feel a bit better, because I have, I'll be putting up my Severance breakdown pretty soon too, hopefully. Maybe tomorrow, depending how much sleep I get and how I feel. But all right. Well, thank you everybody who listened, who stuck with us. We all appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll see a lot of you in either Discord, my Discord, Julie's Discord, somebody's Discord. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was gonna say we have a comment. What's the call? Oh, that was for you. Your comment. Yeah. Good night, everybody.
I'm way behind. I'm way behind on my my Severance breakdowns. I actually was going to try to premiere my. I still have to premiere my Severance episode 1 breakdown, and I was going to do it earlier, but then my Wi-Fi kept going out and disrupting it when I was trying to upload the video. So now it's going to premiere tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, today at 9 a.m. It's going to be premiering at 9 a.m. later, Eastern time. So
now that I've done one, and I know it takes forever because I gotta get my second one up.
It's not a recap. It's analysis of. I go through it scene by scene, but it's my own analysis of the show and my own ideas and the way I'm interpreting it, and so it's still worth watching even though it's late. It's not a recap. It's and also just ideas. I haven't had a chance to actually make a scripted video about Severance before. This is my first one, so I also just put in some ideas I haven't had a chance to discuss in a video like that before, about Severance in general. So finally, it's coming at 9 a.m. and then I'm going to get right to work on my next one.
It takes forever. Now that I did one, I think I can do it a bit easier, because I realized I don't have to I did it in segments, and then I kept going back and fixing it instead of redoing parts of it. And then I realized how much easier it was just to re-say the sentence and then cut it. But I found that out after doing it. But yeah, mine's
that's what I've started to do.
Yeah, so
it's still a pain, but that's what I've started to do now. I just cut out. I take a pause if I screw up, which I always screw up multiple times, too many times, and then I cut out my mistakes. But it's still a pain, but it's a little bit less annoying than starting over and starting from the beginning and rereading.
That's why I didn't realize that I could cut it and it would look okay. Although I'm doing mine on video. I know yours is just audio. Mine was on video. But I was also going to say, we talked about maybe in Discord having, and again, this really depends if I can stay up tomorrow, how I feel. But if we do, I know Scarlet, you might want to come. We're talking about maybe doing a Yellow Jackets rewatch, starting it. We had talked about doing it tomorrow. If I feel well enough, I'd like to do a couple. Don't know if I can stay up all night, but if people want to watch it, I'll at least play a couple, because I do want to start watching it. But yeah, the other thing is that that show I was mentioning before, Paradise, they released the first episode already early on Hulu, so that's out too, which is also a good show. All right, guys. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks for showing up.
Bye.
Take it easy.